Hello, everyone. Thank you, and welcome to Toxic to Triumph. Welcome back, I should say. We took a little bit of a break, and we are back. We have a very special guest today with us. We have Anita Ladhani, and her and I connected on TikTok, and uh, I absolutely love the content that she's putting out. Someone that I'm associated with actually sent me her information, and I absolutely fell in love with everything that you do. And you can find out more information about her and the things that she does at anitaladhani.com. And I'll have that in the show notes as you guys. And she's an LCSW based out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. For those of you who are in Florida. And what is your TikTok handle if they want to see you on TikTok?
Same, my first
Same
name, my
thing.
last name,
Okay,
everyone.
you're like me. You keep it simple and keep it easy. Yeah. So Anita talks about and specializes in limiting beliefs and trauma, and you've been doing a lot of things in terms of spirituality on TikTok and things like that. And I don't want to speak for you. I'll let you talk about that during the show. But thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for opening up your time to us. And introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and a little bit about what you do. I don't want to take your glory.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm a little nervous, like I told you today.
It's
I
okay.
usually don't get nervous, but I'm a little nervous, so I'm going to try not to stumble. So my name is Anita Ladhani. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I'm also an energy practitioner. I kind of coined that term just because I didn't know what else. I didn't quite feel comfortable calling myself a healer because to
Hmm.
me, God, creator, universe is the ultimate healer.
Right.
We're just mere humans, but I feel blessed to, be able to do that kind of work using different modalities that are in my toolbox.
Hmm.
And so that's what I do.
Awesome. Thank you very much for being on again. And when we when we were talking a lot about limiting beliefs. And when for the general person who's listening online, what is a limiting belief?
So limiting belief is basically just a belief that limits you, to play on words, to state the obvious. When we're growing up, our subconscious is basically like a blank state. And our subconscious is 90% of our conscious brain is 10%. And so when we're growing up and say somebody says something to us, hey, they may just make a passing comment, our parents, our teachers, whatever. We accept that to be truth. And when we accept that to be the truth, it plants a belief in our subconscious.
Hmm.
And over time, as other people may either add to it, it just reinforces that belief.
Hmm.
And so whether it's a positive belief or whether it's a negative belief, hey, you're an amazing athlete. Oh yeah, I believe that about myself. Or hey, you're an amazing artist. Yeah, I believe that about myself. Oh, you're not a very good speaker. I believe that about myself. Whatever it is, your subconscious doesn't judge. Your subconscious is designed. The primary role of your subconscious is to keep you, whatever is you, safe and secure. It doesn't judge. It's like a high security vault. So good, bad, and different, I'm going to take care of everything that is Anita, and that's what the subconscious does.
So when I'm sure that a lot of people who are listening to this, that's really resonating with them because a lot of people who are listening to this have dealt with, abusive, toxic, narcissistic people, in particular parents, and they've probably said a lot of things that have limited their beliefs through criticism, that sort of thing. And so it sounds like the criticisms that we hear, both good and bad, I shouldn't say just criticisms, um, they they attach to us. We attach to it through our subconscious, and then we end up playing those things out. What happens when someone, so going to your example of you're a good athlete, and someone challenges that, or you think your limiting belief is that you're a bad athlete, and someone tells you the opposite, what does that look like? How does that play out?
But we negate that. We don't believe that.
Hmm.
We don't believe that. We go, oh no, we're not. And then we seek out validation for what we do believe.
Hmm.
Instead of so the but the more important thing is how do you change that?
Hmm.
Because what we once we realize that we actually can change our limiting beliefs,
Hmm.
because it's just about accessing the subconscious mind. That's really where the power lies,
Hmm.
right? So getting the way you change your subconscious is by accessing, opening up the critical window, which opens up either during a theta brainwave or when we're in a highly emotional state, which is why some of the most powerful, sessions you've had with your therapist is when you've been crying.
Hmm.
You've been crying and you're highly emotional, and the therapist says something, and boom, wow, you heard that because the critical window was open. Another way to do it is through theta healing, where the practitioner, as a theta healer myself, I can put myself in a theta brainwave and command. And since you give me permission, because again, you have free will, creator, universe, source has given us all free will. So I can't change anything or, do anything on your behalf unless you give me consent. And that's another way where limiting beliefs can change like this, as long as the digging work is done and you've given me consent. And
Yeah, and so it sounds like you have to be open to that change as well.
100%.
Hmm.
Yes. And again, this is why, I do theta healing on my lives, but, yes, there's limits to that, because you may, on a conscious level, you may want that.
Hmm.
But depending on how deeply that subconscious belief is embedded in you,
Hmm.
that's where the individual sessions are really important, because you have to get to the source of where that limiting belief comes from. And you have to sort of pull it out from that root.
Hmm.
And so you can wish for it, all you want, but it won't change unless you really clear what the original limiting belief is.
Let's talk about that original limiting belief briefly. Let's say that someone has a background or a history of someone continuously reinforcing that limiting belief, either someone or a series of people consistently saying that over a period of time. Is it still about getting down to the original one, or is it? And so it sounds like this could be a process.
No, it's literally. So the example that was given to us is, like in the olden days, back in the day,
Mhm.
when you would go to the grocery store and you would have this display of cans, like say soup or whatever they were selling, and you would have cans just kind of lining up in a pyramid with the one
Mhm.
on top.
Yeah.
Well, if you were to invert that and have that single can at the bottom and everything else stacked up on top of it, think of your limiting belief as as that display. So you have to get to that bottom. It doesn't matter how much is on top. Once you pull that bottom limiting belief, you get to that, all of that stuff disappears. It's amazing. You don't recognize, you
Mhm.
don't realize how quickly change can happen. So it's quite freeing.
What happens? I talk to people. I know you've probably talked to people who say that they don't remember their childhood, or they don't remember a certain section of their life because it was so traumatic.
Mhm,
But that may be where the limiting belief happens.
mhm.
How does that play out? What do you encourage people to do, or what happens in those type of scenarios?
So, our subconscious is really protective of us, and so, yes, we may bury or we may compartmentalize certain memories just because they're too painful. When we're old enough, to not so much age, but when our subconscious goes, she can handle it now. She's still going to fall apart, but she can handle it now, versus when she was younger, it'll come up. We'll remember it, or it may come up in therapy. There's, of course, I'm also a hypnotherapist, so there's ways to go there quite easily. You can do it, you can go back to that age or whatever, and it'll come up, and then you can release it that way. And once it comes up to the surface, then you can address it in many different ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. And once that, a lot of people ask me all the time, how do I know when I've actually healed, or how do I know when it's actually taken place? What are some signs that someone can tell that that limiting belief is gone, has healed, and when they're actually able to kind of move forward?
When you don't respond the same way that you used to.
Hmm.
So, for me, if I can talk about a piece of my life that normally I would fall apart, but now I can talk about it, I've healed from it.
Hmm.
Now, mind you, having said that, understand that our subconscious, we are like onion.
Hmm.
We're like an onion. There's layers to us. And so when I heal certain layers, so I'm a sexual abuse survivor myself, and I've done a lot of work over it with all the different modalities, starting from NLP 25 years ago, which is when it first sort of came up to my awareness, that I mean, I knew I was, but I
Mhm.
didn't realize the impact of the
Mhm.
sexual abuse that I had experienced. I dealt with it then, and I was okay for a good 15 years, and then it came up again, and so I
Mhm.
dealt with it again using whatever modality it was. And I was fine. And then when I was learning EFT about 3 years ago, it came up again. I was like, "Are you kidding me? I thought I was done with it."
Mhm.
So again, obviously, I'm okay now, but does that mean it may come up again? It may, and that's
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah.
When it comes up, you deal with it, but then you're okay until a deeper layer needs to come up.
What makes people, when that comes up again, what makes people try to avoid dealing with it, even though they may have dealt with it in the past? Is it shame? Is it guilt? Is it um, just they know how hard the work is going to be? Is it just not being ready? What does that look like when someone just doesn't want to deal with it?
I mean, all of the above.
Hmm.
This healing stuff is not an easy road and it's not a pretty business. This
Hmm.
shit is hard.
Yeah.
It's crying and it's painful and it's gut wrenching and it's depression and anxiety and you're triggered. And I mean, it's a lonely job. It's a
Hmm.
lonely journey. Your best friend cannot help you in this, even
Hmm.
if with all their good intentions. You got to do the work yourself.
Yeah.
So it's painful, and people usually tend to avoid pain. Nobody goes
Hmm.
in towards pain willingly. I mean, firefighters do, they jump,
Right.
and God bless them for that. But
Hmm.
no, I mean, so.
Yeah, and when you mentioned a topic that people ask me about all the time, the fact that this road is so lonely, and going back to something you said about your best friend can't help. A lot of times, your best friend or even your family members will actually turn their back on you when you're going through this healing. And do you see that a lot? What does that journey look like for a lot of people?
Um, I don't know. I haven't really had that experience
Hmm.
myself. I mean, I'm really blessed to have an amazing family support and incredible friends who really want to be there for me. But again, I realize, I'm different, but I know a lot of people have very toxic environments they grow up in, and you can't heal in the same environment that you were
Right.
inflicted in. So I mean, you're gonna have to set boundaries and cut some people out in
Sometimes it's necessary because
exactly.
sometimes a lot of people don't realize that your healing a lot of times threatens them because they know that what they're doing is either wrong or that and if they're not ready and they see that it's common, like, I always see this and I always hear about this when someone is going for a promotion and then your promotion actually threatens them because they know they weren't working hard this entire time, right? And then they start making excuses. Well, you just got it because I know you know who you were with, and you were sucking up and you were brown nosing this entire time, and so they make up all sorts of excuses whenever they start seeing you down a healing journey.
So people love to be able to say, "Oh, poor Anita, look at her. She's really struggling. Oh, I'm here for you. I'm here for you." But the minute Anita starts doing well, oh, who does she think she is?
Hmm.
Oh, what? Oh, she's all that and then some. No, no, no. Look at her with the attitude,
Hmm.
and they're okay being the helper, but they cannot be. It's that whole, you can't see someone rising, and doing better than you, because then it
Hmm.
challenges and puts perspective, and you got to check your game. And like you said, you're not willing to do that a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When we talk about limiting beliefs and when you're coming out of, I mean, obviously, that I'm going to try to mirror, or not mirror, but put together my world and your world, what I do and what you do together. A lot of people I deal with struggle with a lot of limiting beliefs coming out of a toxic relationship, and then they're ready mentally to move on and start dating and start meeting new people, start meeting new friends. And then those limiting beliefs from all the criticisms that they've heard in the past from their toxic relationships are still all the criticism. You're no good. You've gained weight. You've done this. You've done that. Right. Or sometimes, a lot of times, people feel like they're the toxic and they're abusive one because of the things that they were told. Or you're a terrible mother. And then they meet someone that's healthy. And those limiting beliefs start to creep right back up. What does have you had any experience with that with people you work with, and or personal in your personal journey, anything like that?
I think I think the key is that, if and when you end a relationship, um, the normal tendency is to want to jump into something. Okay. And I get it. Been there, done that, guilty of that, and I think that it's important to understand why we do that.
Yeah.
We do that because we need to know that we still got it. I mean, I put myself out there immediately just because I didn't think I still had it.
Yeah.
This was like 6 months ago. And really quickly I realized I have it. Okay, that's good. But I also have all the garbage that I come with, on that. So that's when, once I realized, okay, I had it, you have it. Everyone has it. I don't care who you are. I don't care how old you are, what your bank balance is. I don't care what size shoes or clothes you are. You have it. But the important thing is to pause and really just sit with yourself. Surround yourself with family. Surround yourself with friends. But go to therapy. Take a group. Read some books. Spend some time alone and really sit with yourself and allow yourself, because the stuff is going to come up regardless. And it's when it comes up is when you need to start to address it. But, give yourself 6 months to a year, I would say, right? To really just do the work and figure out. I mean, you're not ever going to be completely healed. You're always going to have stuff you're working in. So it's not like you got to wait for your ideal self to get into another relationship, because it is what it is.
Yeah, we all have certain elements to us. There's no such thing as the perfect person. And, with that being said, when with this being like more of a healing journey, and a lot of times people end up losing patience for themselves because they're not at a certain point that they feel like that they should be out in their healing journey. When we talk about a journey versus like a destination that we're trying to get to, like how do you differentiate between that gap where you say, give yourself a little bit more time, and okay, I'm not perfect, but it's time to get back out there and either date or meet new people. And what does that look like?
So I think it may sound like a cliche, because, a lot of these things that I live by are, I don't even know what they're called, but they're sayings, they're quotes. I do believe that we are exactly where we need to be at any given time. And, again, it's just the key is, don't be so hard on yourself. Stop judging yourself. Okay. So, the minute I left, I got out of the last relationship, immediately I got back online. I knew I shouldn't have. I know better. I teach this stuff, but I did it knowing I needed that validation, knowing I was not ready. Okay. But then I forgave myself and I quickly took myself back off it, because I realized I was attracting the same kind of person, because that's where I was. Yeah. I realized I had to do the work. And so, I keep going back to the dating scene, but it's more importantly, you are where you are. Yeah. Stop being so hard on yourself. You just forgive. You have to be able to willing to forgive yourself. Okay, I made a mistake. I'm not perfect. There is no such thing as perfect. Only God is perfect. Right. So that's it. All right. Now I learned, I realized I'm going to stop and I'm going to do what I need to do and spend some time. And, you may slip up, but that's the journey.
Absolutely.
That's the beautiful journey of life.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head with something I talk to people about, where, you were attracting some of the same stuff, because people don't understand that this healing journey is so, so important and so vital for you to meet new healthy people. Because if you're not healthy or on some sort of health journey yourself, how are you supposed to recognize it with other people? Right? We have to understand that all of us, every single one of us, have some limiting beliefs and have some things that we've been through. And if the person doesn't recognize that in themselves, and if the person doesn't, then, and you're attracting that because you don't recognize the difference. And that's where a lot of people's trust issues come in. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No. You're perfect. I just thought I'm cutting you off. So I thought of, the metaphor, the example that I use is, it's like a radio station, you're playing, you turn it on in your FM 96.5, and that's where you are vibrating at. That's where your limiting beliefs are. That's where your frequency is at. But you want to attract 101. You really want that, because what in your head, what that healthy looks like, right? But you're at 96.5. You're not going to get 101.5 unless you raise your vibrational frequency to that level. And sometimes we're at 101.5, but we're really attracted to 96.5. Yep. And we're like, we got to catch ourselves. Wait a minute. am I willing to lower my vibrational frequency to go
Yep.
to that? I mean, I recently, my friend had to remind me, she met somebody that I had kind of gone on a few dates with, and she says, nice guy, but you realize you're going to have to lower your vibrations to
Hmm.
match his, and that's the language we speak. And
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, I know that. Okay, yeah, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's, we can lovingly be friends and from apart, and
Yeah.
just because I know the work I'm trying to do, and I know the journey I'm on, and I'm a long way from where I think I'm going to be,
Hmm.
where I strive to be. But if I'm just stuck here, then where am I going?
Exactly. And that whole vibration, it that is so key and so vital, and it explains a whole lot, because when you change that station, it may not be what you're used to, right? It
Yes,
may not be your comfort zone,
yes,
right? But the
yes.
reality of it is that the longer you stay in that new system, that new vibration, the more comfortable you're going to be with it. And a lot of people, and I've been through it, I'm sure you've been through it, where you finally meet someone that is healthy, whether it be a friend or a romantic relationship. And it's in the beginning, it's uncomfortable,
Yeah.
right? Because you're not used to someone who's communicating. You're sitting there waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it just doesn't, and it's just a completely different dynamic.
I have to admit, I'm still waiting for that one.
Yeah.
I haven't met him yet. So I'm waiting to be challenged in that
Yeah.
way. Because unfortunately, yeah, and it's not because of them. It's because I think I have been vibrating at a low frequency, which it's just been comfortable for
Right.
me. And so, yes, I may know better, but it's one thing to intellectually know, but it's another to really walk the walk
Right.
and talk the talk,
Exactly.
right? That's where I am.
Likewise, romantically, but I think both of us, it sounds like both of us have met good, healthy friendships at this point,
Absolutely.
right? Where we know that we still, to at least confirm that belief system of
Yes.
ours,
Yes,
right?
150%. Yes,
Because
I have some incredible,
mhm,
amazing, friends, male and female, that are, yeah, absolutely. You're so right.
yeah.
Yep.
Because one of the things I tell people is that there's honestly not a huge difference between a good, healthy friendship and a good, healthy romantic relationship. Really, the biggest difference is that one of them you want to have sex with, the other one you don't.
That's funny.
It's
I
what
never,
it's really how it should be, right? If we have good, healthy, a lot of times we put
absolutely.
our romantic relationships, we esteem them so high, and we think that it should be all fireworks and this and that,
No,
and
I don't want fireworks.
right,
I don't want fireworks fizzle and burn out. I don't want
exactly,
fireworks. Right. The basis of a healthy, relationship is a solid friendship,
right,
mutual trust, respect, open communication.
bingo,
Yeah, I mean, those are the three things that are, to me, the key to any healthy relationship: friendship, work, partnership, relationship, romantic or not. I think those are the three components.
yeah,
Easier
absolutely.
said than done, though. It's a lot of work.
It is because going back to that frequency,
Mhm.
you have to get used to that new comfort zone,
Yeah.
and that is very, very difficult to do.
But once you start vibrating in that, for a minute, and that becomes your norm, then anything else, it's like, yeah, with loving respect, I'm going to set my boundaries and go
Exactly.
away, because I'm not inviting that in my space.
Exactly. Well, Anita, we want to thank you very, very much for coming on. You did absolutely amazing, and I think this is great content for everyone that listens to this, and we appreciate you so much. And if you just want to give any closing thoughts that you might have.
I think just, respect yourself,
Mhm.
love yourself, respect yourself, offer yourself the same courtesy, which is forgiveness, kindness, compassion, self-love. We're very generous, and we're willing to give it to our kids. We're willing to give it to our friends, but we're not really willing to offer that to ourselves. And I
Mhm.
think it starts with us. To me, I really believe that you can't give to others what you're not willing to give yourself.
Yep.
And if your cup is empty, what are you going to pour from?
Yep. I think you hit the nail on the head, because that's something I tell people as well, that oftentimes we'll offer people love and advice, and it's common knowledge that people will say that I don't take my own advice,
Mhm.
but you deserve the same level of love that you would give to other people, and that's what self-love actually looks like. So you hit the nail
Exactly.
on the head. So thank you very much again We appreciate you coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Anita, and your website is Anita Ladhani at anitaladhani.com.
Mhm.
Perfect. Well,
Wonderful.
thank you very much,
Matt,
and we will
appreciate.
talk again soon.
Absolutely.